During this week, I think there is lots and lots of stories and lots of action happening. I'll go through some stories and challenges between the Jewish and Jesus Christ, and hopefully we can all learn and benefit from these challenges. So Pharisees started to act against Jesus. So the first action from the Pharisees or challenges against Jesus Christ, they question Jesus Christ by what authority he is doing all that miracles. So when Jesus entered the temple on Palm Sunday, the Pharisees started to question him. Then the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. So they looked at all the hands. He healed the sick. He fed the multitudes. He raised the dead. So they astonished all what he's doing, and still they question him what authority he was doing that. Now when he came into the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people confronted him as he was teaching and said, "By what authority are you doing these things? And who gave you this authority?" But Jesus answered and said to them, "I also will ask you one thing, which if you tell me, I likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things. The baptism of John, where was it from? From heaven or from men?" And they reasoned among themselves, saying, "If we say from heaven, he will say to us, why then did you not believe him? But if we say from men, we fear the multitude, for all count John as a prophet." So they answered Jesus and said, "We do not know." And he said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things." So through this story, I think they're trying to question his authority. At the other hand, I think they were blind. It's very obvious. It's very obvious what he's doing. It's just a miracle. But they're trying to track him and to trap him. The second story about taxes to Caesar. Herodians were Jewish, political supporters of the ruling house of Herod the Great, and thus willing servant of Rome. On the other hand, the Sadducees represent landowners and other wealthy families in the Jerusalem. They differed from Pharisees in that they were politically prudent and adapted to the presence of the Romans. The Sadducees interpreted the law even more rigidly than the Pharisees, and unlike them rejected belief in angel and in the resurrection from the dead at the end of the age. So they don't believe in the resurrection, the Sadducees. Then they sent to him some of the Pharisees and the Herodians to catch him in his words. When they had come, they said to him, "Teacher, we know that you are true and care about no one, for you do not regard the person of men, but teach the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Shall we pay or shall we not pay?" But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said to them, "Why do you test me? Bring me a denarius, that I may see it." So they brought it, and he said to them, "Whose image and inscription is this?" They said to him, "Caesar's." And Jesus answered and said to them, "Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." And they marveled at him. I think in every story we have to learn a lesson, and we try to take something tonight and just by contemplation each story. So this one, I'm telling about what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Sometimes we are, in a bit of dilemma. Is it, I serve, yeah, but do I have to pay taxes? Do I have to follow the rules of this country? Do I have to follow the law of this country? Yes. there is a different story. I come to church, spiritual, or I'm a Christian, but still I have to obey the rule of this country. It's very important. Third action, again, is Jesus. The Sadducees explained the resurrection. They're trying to trap Jesus about resurrection. And this is a very nice story. Then some Sadducees who say there is no resurrection came to him. And they asked him, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote to us that if a man's brother dies and leaves his wife behind and leave no children, his brother should take his wife and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first took a wife, and dying he left no offspring. And the second took her, and he died, nor did he leave any offspring. And the third likewise. So the 7 had her and left no offspring. Last of all, the woman died also. Therefore, in the resurrection, when they rise, whose wife will she be? For all 7 had her as a wife." So they're trying to trap him, and they're trying to think in a worldly way. But Jesus is thinking about heavenly way. So Jesus answered and said to them, "Are you not therefore mistaken, because you do not know the Scriptures, nor the power of God? For when they rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven. But concerning the dead, that they rise, have you not read in the book of Moses, in the burning bush passage, how God spoke to him, saying, I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. We are therefore greatly mistaken." So Jesus is trying to purify all the wrong teaching. He's trying to purify all the wrong thinking. He's trying to purify, the way sometimes the people think about the worldly and the earth. But he's trying to take them up and high in their thinking. A fourth action, the scribe asked which is the first commandment. So sometimes we try to follow the Bible and we try to do the commandment. But this scribe, they trying to trap Jesus in asking him, which is the first commandment? So then one of the scribes came, and having heard them reasoning together, perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? Jesus answered him, the first of all, the commandment is here, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. And the second like it is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than this. So the scribe said to him, well said, teacher, you have spoken the truth, for there is one God, and there is no other but He, and to love Him with all the heart, with all the understanding, with all the soul, and with all the strength, and to love one's neighbor as oneself is more than all the whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. Now, when Jesus saw that he answered wisely, he said to him, you are not far from the kingdom of God. But after that, no one dared to question him. They all astonished from Jesus Christ. Fifth action, a certain lawyer who is specialized in Moses' book, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. The lawyer specialized in this book, so he's trying to trap and to question Jesus Christ. He wanted to testify Jesus as if he is asking to know some of the facts, but he was asking the question, and underneath there was other issue to trap Jesus Christ. So the question, and behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tested him, saying, Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? He said to him, What is written in the law? What is your reading of it? So he answered and said, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And they said to him, You have answered. He answered very good, rightly. Do this and will live. But he wanting to justify himself, said to Jesus, And who is my neighbor? So he's trying to question Jesus and to trap him. Who is my neighbor? Then Jesus answered and said, he explained to him and he told him the story of the Samaritan man. A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked, and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went to him, bandaged his wounds, pouring an oil and wine, and he set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you. So which of these 3 do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves? And he said, He who showed mercy on him. Then Jesus said to him, Go and do likewise. So he's trying to give us an example of how to do mercy and how to serve. So the service not only to serve our own society, not only to serve our own people, not only to serve and look for our own, Christian, but he can work in any other way. I love some people. They do some mission by their talent. If you've got some talent, you can do this mission. It's like if you are an engineer, you can do mission to the people they are in need. Same for doctors. Same for any other profession. You can do some mission and reach to the people outside the church. I think this parable is very obvious about that. So, in teaching all this story, as I mentioned from the start, Jesus is trying to take our mind and to lift our thoughts to heaven. And He is trying to clarify our thinking. So there is a very nice story about the poor widow. She gave all. She gave all. So sometimes, we're trying to give, but not all. So I'd like to concentrate with me about this just story. Then He said to them, He's teaching, beware of the scribes who desire to go around in long robes, love greetings in the marketplaces, the best seat in the synagogue, and the best places at feasts, who devour widows' houses, and for pretense make long prayers. This will receive greater condemnation. So be careful. Be careful. Sometimes you feel like sometimes we are very great in the church, a big servant, people talking about me, or in your work, whatever, but be careful. Be careful. Sometimes this is not the way, but you will be condemned. So you have to be careful. Look at this widow. Now Jesus sat opposite the treasury and saw how the people put money into the treasury. And many who were rich put in much. Then one poor widow came and threw in 2 mites, which make a quadrant. So he called his disciple to himself and said to them, Assuredly, I say to you that this poor widow has put in more than all those who have given to the treasury. So how come? She was just very little, and they putting too much. No, it's a different attitude. For they all put in out of their abundance. But she, out of her poverty, out of her need, put in all that she had, her whole livelihood. So, just compare between the scribe and the Pharisees, who are stealing and doing all the bad things, then enter the temple to pray, and the heart of these poor widows, who gave all what she had. So you have to be careful. The Lord account the value of a gift not by how much is given, by how much is kept back. Very important. The Lord account the value of gift not by how much is given, but how much is kept back. Some people, they give everything. So like, some servant, they give their time. They give their everything in their life to God. Thus the poor widow is counted to have given a great gift, having kept nothing for herself. Those who give out of their abundance, but keep plenty of themselves, are counted by God to have given very little. We have to be very careful. Sometimes we feel like we're giving and we do all the right thing, but still we don't give enough. We don't give enough. You have to give from your need. You have to give from your what you have in your house. But take heed to yourself, lest your heart be weighed down with carousing. So God talking about the last days, drunkenness and cares of His life, and that day come on you unexpectedly, for it will come as a snare in all those who dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch, therefore, we have to watch and pray always, that we may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Sometimes we feel like, still there is time and we've got long time, but we have to be very careful. Sometimes we go with the current. Sometimes people, they go with the peer pressure. I remember a guy was an Italian guy. He came to see me, and he was about in mid-30, and he was very sad, very distressed, and he said, "Look, I don't want any drugs. I'm depressed, I'm stressed, but I want you to help me." I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "I lost everything. I lost everything. I had lots of houses, had lots of money, lots of investment, but I lost everything, and I was in the prison. I lost my family, I lost my kids." So I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "I want with a bad peer pressure, and they deceived me, and I went through drugs and addiction, all this stuff, and he lost everything." So he's trying to come back, which is good, but I think it's important to keep inside and to not to start to do any, and to be careful of the peer pressure. Very, very important. So be careful, be careful. For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveled to a far country, who called his own servant and delivered this will be the last. So about the talent to them, and to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2. This part of the gospel was in the morning. To another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. And immediately he went on a journey. Then who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them, and made another 5 talents. And likewise he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. After a long time the Lord of those servants came and settled account with them. So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, "Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents beside them." His Lord said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord." He also, who had received 2 talents, came and said, "Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents beside them." His Lord said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you rule over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord." Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, and you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look here, there you have what is yours. So this last parable about the talent, it's very, very, very important, and we have to use our talent. Our health is talent. Our body is talent. Our job is talent. Our service is talent. But the point how to grow this talent. The point how to keep and protect this talent and to grow more. And not only to hide the talent and not to do anything with it. So you have to be careful. Even in our health is a gift. Our body is a gift, is a talent. We have to look after this talent. And we have to care after this talent. So be careful not to destroy this talent and hide it. Like, if you don't look after your health, if you go through smoking and addiction and drugs, so you're not using the talent. You're not using the gift God gave you. So you have to be careful. So burying the talent in the ground is an illustration of using one's God-given gift for earthly pursuits. So we have to grow and we have to enlarge and we have to think about all these stories God giving us, and God just every day of the Pascha there is lots and lots of story and parable. We have to concentrate and learn and to live the rest of the year. بيقولوا زي this time of the year is the store of the whole year. So you keep this store during the whole year. And glory to be God.
Son of the Holy Spirit, one God, and we ask and entreat you all